or one of the things I really want to talk about is this idea of the CBA, 17 games coming out. It's a touchy subject for a lot of players, former players. And for me, I just have a handful of things that I wanted to share that I think have been talked about on some degree, and then my own twist on it a little bit. But obviously, from a player standpoint, within the contract negotiation or any union negotiation, probably many people who are watching this are part of a union and how important they are to the progress of our country and many different things that I'm not willing to go down the path of right now. But from a player union, from an NFL player standpoint, it's a tough uphill battle. You're dealing with billionaires, with many people who are millionaires or fake millionaires, faux millionaires, guys who aspiring to be millionaires, but they have really compressed window for that revenue generation. And so that compressed window really amplifies the negotiations from the player standpoint, because guys only have a certain amount of time to earn this revenue. And so it's really a sweet spot. And so anything to me that takes away from the player's safety is a really difficult thing to give in. And so I know that the owners have been leaning for a long time about expanding games. I've heard 18, 17 now seems to be the sweet spot. And I don't understand from a player standpoint how we landed at 17, how we were willing to give up another game immediately for really, I know that they're going to kick back a certain percentage, but I think it's only still not even under 50%. And so this idea that we would play more games as a concession to this new CBA, to me, is just unacceptable out the gate. Anything to do with that adds more danger to the game, meaning player safety is not at the forefront of the decision making, is something that I'm not willing to negotiate. That being said, I don't think it's just they want another game. I've never thought it was just the owners want another opportunity to generate revenue so you get an extra home game every other year. To me, and really the timing of this works because we're in really the kind of dog days of sports fandom. You know, there's not a lot going on in middle to late February. So to me, the NFL has always wanted to nudge into February more, get into February more so that they can have a longer NFL season. I think, you know, from my somewhat limited experience going overseas to play, you watch, you know, European soccer happens throughout the entire school year. I think of it. It's like September to May. Now, why did they do that? A handful of different reasons. They play in multiple leagues, usually different tournaments, but there are also different ways that they make the season longer. And so if the NFL is looking to make the season longer, to capture that audience longer, I think that there are just different ways to do it, and players don't necessarily have to give up a 17th game. So my ideas, and this is just me making this stuff up, use the coupon code DQBSchool and get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Again, thanks for supporting the show. Code DQBSchool. Is I would love to see a holiday break, basically 2 buys. So you get a normal buy that kind of rotates as it's set up right now, but then you have another buy for Christmas. Now, you could never do a buy for Thanksgiving because those Thanksgiving holidays are, you know, locked in for certain teams like the Lions, the Cowboys, and now that late game on Thanksgiving has become kind of a tradition for football. But nobody really thinks Christmas and football. And I know not everybody's a Christian and celebrates Christmas, but a holiday buy at some point. You know, I think, you know, besides for like the English Premier League that always play on Boxing Day, which is the 26th after Christmas. And besides for that, most of those European leagues take a holiday break. And it's another way to extend the year. And I'm not saying you have to go all the way through New Year's, but you could. I mean, I think for me, I'm just a fan of football. I don't associate New Year's with NFL football. I associate it with college bowl games, 50 bowl games, the Beef Jerky Bowl. But still, I'm watching it. And so I think that there's a way to put in some sort of holiday break to extend the season, to push it into February. I would also, this one's, now I don't think that's necessarily like that radical of an idea. I think the other idea that I would have is I love, and I know that there's talks about adding an extra playoff team, making it, what would it be? Why can't I do the math? 7 playoff teams, so that only the number 1 seed gets a bye, and every division winner has to play a home game that first week, the 2, 3, and the 4. And so I personally wouldn't be opposed to having like a play-in game. Like, I love the play-in games for like the March Madness. Now I know, sometimes they lead to lopsided games in the next round, but that play-in round is fun for a lot of teams. It gives a lot of people that wouldn't have the opportunity, basically 4 extra teams, for the NCAA tournament, to have a play-in game. So really, you're giving the real playoff teams an extra bye week again, player safety again, more rest again. The league calendar is extended again. So have a play-in game for the playoffs, or a couple play-in games for the playoffs. I know it would saturate the product. It wouldn't be as good. You didn't earn the playoffs, whatever. It's a win or go home. It's a high drama, high intense game. So to me, those things kind of encapsulate concessions that are just basically tethered to creativity. Holiday break for some sort of holiday, Christmas through New Year's or before Christmas, whatever you want to, whoever the dates are. And then you have a play-in game week. So that's basically 2 extra weeks. Now you're pushing all the way into mid-February. And I know people, we never want to watch football in February. Everybody watches baseball in November now. Okay? It's not a secret. They're trying to extend their opportunity to generate revenue in prime time. And so it's just another way to do it without adding an extra game. I just don't understand how the players are negotiating to add extra games without massive concessions. Massive. And so I'm just not willing to go there yet. And I hope the players don't. I know it's a serious uphill battle. I know it's difficult to negotiate with billionaires. I know players are at a disadvantage on a number of different variables. But for me, there are ways that we can manipulate the current system that might be a little bit outside the box to create what maybe the owners want without having to have a detriment to the player safety. That, to me, I know everybody talks the rhetoric that it's always at the forefront of the decision making, but in reality, the decisions and the negotiations don't necessarily match that. And so if it really is at the paramount of exactly what the negotiations are, especially for the players, player safety, then let's find creative ways to extend the season without putting more players at risk with more regular season games. So just my take. Let me know if you totally disagree or what.